One of the many businesses down at the SEMO Port Authority is the SEMO Milling Company, and that happens to be, I'm reading this brochure that you're fixing to get a hold of. SEMO Milling is the southernmost commercial dry yellow corn mill in the United States. To educate us more about what they do is Dan Fetherston. Dan, a warm welcome.
Thanks, Terry, for the invite. As he mentioned, SEMO Milling is a company that's been in existence since 2007. Actually, we started the company in 2006. We came down to the port. We basically did a greenfield operation. We built a corn dry mill there right out at SEMO Port. If you're familiar with that area, it's on Nash Road. Instead of going toward the airport, you head down the other way and you're going to dead end at the port. A little bit about what a corn dry mill is. We are similar to a wheat mill, but we're using corn. So we're taking corn from area farmers. We are taking it in basically from just local farmers by truck. We are preparing the corn in terms of putting some moisture on it, tempering it, then we put it through our milling process. We degerminate the corn, take off the bran, take out the germ. We make corn grits, corn flour, corn meal. And we consider ourselves a food ingredient company. And by that I mean that we don't really make finished products. We make the products that someone else uses to make a finished product. So, for example, if anyone who drinks Busch beer or Busch Light, one of our larger customers is Anheuser-Busch. They use corn as an adjunct to make beer for a number of their different brands. And we ship corn grits basically out east. They have 13 different breweries, and we're shipping into 3 or 4 of them. We also do a lot of business with Post Foods. If you've ever eaten, Honey Bits of O's, the corn flakes within Honey Bits of O's are almost certainly from SEMO Milling. And so as you're going on the shelf in a store, there are a lot of different finished products that might have our product in them. If you've ever eaten a cornflake, a Walmart brand cornflake, 99% chance that's coming from grits that our mill made that were then turned into cornflakes. Zatarain's, for example, we do a lot of business with them. All of their corn-based fish batters, those type of things. We're pretty much their exclusive supplier for their corn flour. They're down in New Orleans. But those are the type of products we make that end up in the marketplace for the consumer. We came to this area basically because I do have our founder here with us. His name is Terry Kleisinger. He really called me back in 2005 and said, well, I want to start a little boutique mill down in southeast Missouri. Would you come on down and help construct that plant? So that's how I got involved. I knew Terry from some days in Wisconsin. That's where I'm from. Terry went to college there on a hockey scholarship. He's originally from British Columbia. But we got together. The mill is basically owned by an investor group out of Vail, Colorado. There is only one SEMO Milling. We don't have another facility anywhere else. We came here because southeast Missouri is blessed with some things that were things that we wanted to see, which is you've got pretty good infrastructure here in terms of roads, railroads. You have the port, the river. You've got a very great base of corn production in this area, and you also have very great quality of corn. And those are things that matter for us. And so we decided to come on down here to construct the plant. So our typical day, we're running 24/7. We may take a half a day per week if we have time, but basically we're just running the plant continually. We're shipping out product by truck, both bulk and bagged, and then we also ship a lot of product out by rail, both bagged and bulk. We do a fair amount of business into Miami on a number of different bag products that end up in the Caribbean. We also do a fair amount of business with the PL 480 program. That is the government food aid program for overseas. So there's Southeast Missouri corn that's going into Africa and Central and South America for U.S. food aid for different people. And basically we have about 60 people that are employed at SEMO Milling, all pretty much local people that we have hired as we started back in 2007. June of 2007 was when we started the plant. And I think that, like any business, we did not have a preceding business that helped us get our foot in the door anywhere. We had to just go knock on doors. We had to convince these food companies that we were a company that was trustworthy, that would give them product that was quality and that was on time. Our industry is very much involved with food safety. It's the #1 thing that any of our customers want, is they want the assurance from us that any product that we put out the door is food safe. And there are a lot of different regulations that have come on board in the last couple of years regarding that, but we've been able to prove ourselves in the marketplace, and we're very happy to be in Southeast Missouri and in Cape Girardeau. So I don't have a lot else. If there are questions or anything that anyone would want to ask, I'll be glad to answer them.
Do you buy your supply of corn directly from farmers, or is there a middleman there?
Our first 5 years, we had a kind of an origination agreement with a local company, Consolidated Grain and Barge. We took over our own grain merchandising procurement about a year and a half ago. But I'd say 85–90% of our corn comes directly from farmers in this area. We use about maybe 7 million bushels a year of corn, and about 24–25,000 bushels a day. So we're buying it constantly, and we've had a great relationship with the farmers in the area. So we'd like to think that we've raised the price of corn in the area. So yes.
How far out do you reach as far as the farmers that you work with and the corn that you bring in?
Well, we go as far as north. I'd say we go all the way up into the St. John area. In terms of south, we'll go, I don't know, down into New Madrid sometimes. We'll go west as far as Poplar Bluff. But I would say, 80% of our corn just comes right within maybe a 35-mile circle of the plant. We have had a couple of years where we were really short corn, where we did bring a few barges in. Every day, there's 1 million bushels of corn that floats on by the port, and we have had in a couple instances take some of those barges, but we don't like to because the quality of the corn really isn't very good. So that is truly a last resort, but most of the corn is local.
Cool.
Yes?
Did you, the equipment you used, were you able to just go out in the market and buy equipment that you could utilize, or did you have to design or?
Well, we acted as our own general in terms of the building, all the site work, the building construction, and also all the process engineering and the installation of the equipment. There are some companies that would buy a kind of ready-to-go set of equipment from Bueller, a large milling company, equipment manufacturer, Akram, another large equipment manufacturer. We kind of put our own system together. We use Sataki, which is a Japanese company in terms of the front-end degermination system. We use Bueller for our roller mills. We use a Turkish company for some of our other roller mills. We use all of our sifting equipment. There's a lot of sifting equipment. We basically use a number of U.S. companies for that. We use all of our product typically for safety, food safety reasons. Once it's in the mill, if you walked into the mill, you really wouldn't see it. It's totally enclosed. It's either in a machine or it's in a pipe. And by a pipe, I mean it's in a pneumatically conveyed. We have a lot of blowers. All of our product is being moved pneumatically by air up to the next machine. So, but you know, we have a number of different equipment manufacturers that we used for the process. Yes.
Could you maybe just describe for us the process when corn comes in? So you talked about.
Sure.
Yeah.
The farmer will call up, he'll talk to our grain procurement manager. We'll buy the grain either for immediate delivery or for a future period. We have grain bought all the way through not this June, but we have farmers that have already sold corn for the following June, for June 2015. So, well, we get it on contract, we bring it in, we have storage. We don't have a lot of storage. We've got about 300,000 bushels of storage. So we got, 12 or 13 days worth of storage. We bring it into the mill, we clean it. After we clean it, we put it through a color sorter. And we're the only corn drying mill in the U.S. that we color sort every single kernel that comes in the door. So it's about 1 billion kernels a day. Every kernel goes through a color sorter, and there's a little snapshot that gets taken. And if it doesn't look right, there's a little jet of air that kicks that kernel off. And we do that because, again, food safety. Kernels that are damaged, kernels that could have any type of yeast and mold, that could have aflatoxin, that could have other mycotoxins. Those are, those are basically kicked to the side. Once that's done, it goes into a holding tank, goes up to another tank where we put 3% of water on it. That's temporary. We let it sit for a certain amount of time. Then we're just trying to loosen the bran and soften the kernel a little bit. We put it through a degerminator that separates the bran, the grit, and the germ. We take the bran and the germ. Some of the bran goes into a food product, but the rest of it goes to a bin for animal feed. We call it hominy feed, and it goes out to farmers, both local. Our single largest customer for that is Tyson. They use it for chicken feed. The balance of the product is our prime product that goes to, starts getting sorted. And by that time, it's a very low-fat product. And it can be a big grit for flaking grits, or it can be a different size. It'll go to Miami for the Caribbean, or it'll go, you make it reground and go into our brewer grit product, or our meal product. We have about 7 or 8 different products that we make. The last product being flour that goes into, you know, different batters. And we don't really know where all of our product goes. You know, we're selling, we're loading a load here over the weekend that's going to go out to California by rail. And that product basically is getting used, he's reselling that back into McDonald's for the chicken nuggets, you know, the batter that makes chicken nuggets for McDonald's. So, all those kind of things. It's basically a grading process after we do the degermination. We also dry the product back down. And we do a lot of food testing. We're just constantly testing the product to make sure it's in spec. We're constantly testing for yeast, mold, mycotoxins, E. coli, salmonella. I mean, you name it, we're testing for it in terms of food safety to make sure that whatever product we put out the door is safe for the consumer. So.
Who are some of your biggest local suppliers? Like names of farms, or can you divulge that?
Well, I would if I knew.
Oh, okay.
You'd probably have to call our grain procurement manager. But if you can think of any large farmer around here, they are almost certainly doing business with us. So.
And how many employees do you have?
60.
60.
Yep.
Do you ever have any flood problems out there by the?
Terry was adamant that we get this thing above our 500-year floodplain. We actually, I think you wanted it raised 2 or 3 feet more than the
and we were lucky we did.
Yeah, engineer did. So I guess the river's probably come within 7 or 8 feet of us, but you know we've had some record floods here. So the only time it really causes us a problem is the railroad. The port has their own little 7-mile railroad that connects with the UP in Scott City, and it connects with the BN in Cape. Sometimes their railroad will go under by a foot or two, and that has caused us problems. We have been unable to ship on the Burlington Northern in particular probably a half a dozen times because of high water, but we still have the UP. We can always go out the other way.
I live about a mile from there, that's why I was asking.
Yes.
You were mentioning that Gilster Mary Lee is one of your larger customers. Who are your competitors? They were obviously getting all this product from somebody other than you party.
We're in industry that's kind of dominated by some giants. Bunge is a very large multinational in soybeans, wheat. They're all along the river, the major exporter. They are a big-time player in the corn dry milling sector. The second largest player in our sector is Cargill. They're even bigger than Bunge in terms of their overall size. And then we have a number of other smaller players that might be similar to us. We may be a little larger than most of the other second-tier players. We play to our strengths, which are we're down here. So all of the other mills are up in the Midwest. We have freight matters. So we have freight advantages into the south, into the southwest, into the southeast. And so a lot of our base of business is south of us because of our geographic advantage. And then we have better corn. That means better milling results within the mill, more prime, less feed. But those are our competitors.
What
Yes.
qualifies as better corn?
Well, it's corn that is higher in test weight and that has, this is a little technical, but if you cut a corn kernel in two, it's going to have like white floury endosperm, in the middle of it, and it'll also have hard vitreous yellow endosperm as part of the kernel. And we're basically making corn grits, which is made from the hard yellow vitreous endosperm. And you've got longer growing seasons down here. You've got a great climate to make corn that is higher in test weight, it's heavier, and it has more of the hard vitreous endosperm. So that's what we like. So, okay. Any other questions?
You're contracting your purchases up there like a year and a half in advance. Are you also contracting your sales so you're locking in a profit? It seems like $8 a bushel of corn a year ago or 2 years ago, now we're down to $5.
Well, anything we buy from a farmer, is hedged on the Chicago Board of Trade. So if whatever I'm buying or selling, I'm taking an offsetting risk position in the futures market so that every day we go home, and yes, we may have bought 200,000 bushels of corn and we may have sold all of this prime product, but I'm always offsetting those purchases or sales with a offsetting hedge. So we walk out the door and we're basically even every day. And we have one person in the office that's one of her responsibilities is to act as our hedge manager, to match up the corn purchases, the prime product sales, the feed sales, and to make sure that we're even. So we're not in the business of speculating on the markets. We like to think of ourselves more of a toll operation. Here's our costs, here's what we're going to sell it for, and we're protecting ourselves with hedges. So, okay.
I'm curious as to the origins of this idea of putting this plant here. Where did this idea come from? How did you decide that you want to get into milling in the first place and choose Cape Cod? Obviously, there's some location advantages.
Yeah, I'll answer this, and then you can jump into it. Well, Terry and I've been in this industry in other mills in other parts of the country. We've been very heavily involved in some other operations in terms of this PL480 food aid product. And so I think the original thought was that we would come down here and buy maybe an existing building, which we did. That we were going to put in what we would consider a small boutique mill. We're going to be making a bunch of cornmeal for the food aid program. And then actually Terry had a pre-existing relationship with one of our flagship customers, Gilster. And we were going to be selling them product. And that's kind of how that whole started. That, we have a major customer that has their plant is 30 miles away. So we were going to, I think Terry's thought originally was that he wanted to be close to major customers. He also wanted to have really great rail, most of the food aid material moves by rail, and you've got two great UP and BN railroads here intersect. So that's kind of the underlying thought at the time. I think we came down, we kind of started to execute that plan, and then we got hit with the ethanol bug. And we had a partner who approached us and wanted us to partner up and wanted us to make a much bigger mill and to act as kind of both a food plant, but also a plant that would provide them with corn products to make ethanol. And so we kind of expanded the scope of the project. Didn't turn out the way we thought it would. The ethanol kind of went away. It kind of had its boom time, and then we never quite got that done. But we ended up with a plant, so we had to kind of change our game plan there during construction and really turn it all into a strictly food grade ingredient plant. But we ended up with a bigger plant than we originally thought we were going to end up with.
So your background was in milling. Terry, what was your background?
I was a pro hockey player. So Dan's done it all.
So what made you decide that you wanted to get into milling from pro hockey?
Well, I had broke my back in a car accident. So when I was going to college, I worked for a packaging guy. So I knew, that's how I got to meet Dan. Dan was working at a mill, and then I started selling packaging after I couldn't play hockey anymore. And that's how I met Dan. So I knew I had somebody that could run the mill. I just didn't think it would be this hard.
So, yeah, Terry, again, going back to the food aid side, very kind of sophisticated packaging requirements for that. Terry probably had 80% of that market for the country for that particular type of package. The company I was with bought that package continually from Terry, his company. So yeah, he kind of knew the food aid side because he was in the packaging side of the food aid program. I don't know where he got his relationship with Gilster, but anyway.
With all the contacts and being a pro hockey player and all that, I got to meet all the presidents, vice presidents, and because I was always at golf outings and stuff like that. So I got to meet all the head people. I didn't have to go and work for the purchasing people. So that's why I'm on the sales side is I knew all those people, which helped me out a lot. So it's pretty well networking all those people.
But somewhere you had to recognize a niche.
Why Dan?
For this milling.
That's fine. I did know Dan, and I knew the whole packaging side. I knew he knew the milling side, so we kind of put them together. I asked him, first I had asked him if he could do it, and he said, sure. So that's how we ended up here. So we bought the building down here, and we were going to do a lot smaller. It was going to be private label and government, and then it ended up about 4 times the size we thought. But the good thing is, like he said, I had backers within Vail that had money behind it, and that's really what propelled it. Nobody believed it.
Then Terry, while Terry lives out in Vail, he probably has 80% of our accounts are Terry's accounts. So he's very active in the sales side of the business. The other 20% of the volume we handle with in-house sales right there at the plant.
One of the advantages of sitting here with eating lunch with you guys, you had a lot of things to talk about. But one of the things that we've all kind of missed in this thing was this ethanol. When we went to talking about ethanol, there happens to be a pipeline that goes through that port down there too. Somehow or another, this guy's ears really perked up when we talked about ethanol. So, and the pipeline too. So, advantage, I think they've got some advantages there to a lot of shipping, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.